All right, guys. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. We're having some technical difficulties behind the scenes. Jennifer from my team, the two of us, we're going to do this together, but I cannot figure out how to invite her to this. And she's here. She just commented in the chat box that she's here. But I don't know. I thought I set it up that we could both chat, but I cannot figure it out. So I'm going to fly solo with this. And yeah, I hope you guys are excited for this. I'm excited for this. I have this presentation, so I'm going to go through this. And I just appreciate you guys taking the time to be here today. I have to find the presentation now. I don't know why it's not up on my screen. So many technical difficulties. Okay, so today we are going to talk about hormones, which I think a lot of ladies in perimenopause and menopause, we're complaining about the, night sweats and brain fog and terrible periods and bad moods and low energy and all of that. And yes, a lot of times we are blaming our hormones. And yeah, the hormones are the problem. But I think a lot of times we don't realize how much our gut health impacts that. And at the same time, there's a lot of ladies who are dealing with gut issues like the bloating and the gas and the cramping and the constipation and the diarrhea. And GI stuff can really impact your life. Like I have ulcerative colitis. I know how much it can impact your whole day, your whole life, and it can very much impact your hormones and what is going on with your hormones. So we're going to talk about hormones. We're going to talk about gut health today. And then we do have two special offers for you guys. So if you've been thinking about working with our team, you're interested in the testing part of this, we have some great offers for you. And the testing is so, so helpful because instead of guessing or buying random supplements or probiotics, which actually can make things worse, or removing more and more foods from your diet, the testing is going to give you answers for what the heck is going on with your gut. So then you can start doing things to improve it. So you don't have to deal with the GI issues forever and ever. So I wanted to make this really interactive. I was hoping I'd have Jennifer here and we could have an interactive conversation, but it's just going to be me. So hopefully anybody watching right now wants to interact and engage with me in this presentation. So these are just some of the most annoying hormonal symptoms in perimenopause. And if any of these resonate with you, I would love for you to put them in the chat. I would just love to get to know what you are struggling with. What are the most annoying things? Like what just doesn't seem to go away and just plagues you nonstop. I mean, personally, I had all of the hormonal symptoms. I had terrible periods, heavy periods. It was like almost like an event. And I remember I was on this influencer trip with Brooks running, and it was the middle of the summer, and I was wearing these little short shorts, and I got my period. And of course, no bathroom in the area had any sort of feminine products. I remember just panicking because I was like, this is going to be very, very bad, just because my period was like almost like an event. Like I had to plan for it and I hadn't planned for it. So I know how bad these symptoms can be and how they really disrupt your life. Like you're, planning ahead, you're looking on the calendar, you're like, all right, my period's coming this weekend and we have a boating day or we have a vacation and it's going to like ruin my life. So I have 100% been there. I've also had the weight gain. I've told the story a million times that right before I turned 40, I gained practically like 15, 20 pounds overnight. And I really hadn't been doing anything different. I was really stressed out and I was probably exercising too much. But other than that, it just happened like overnight. And I don't doubt that my stress and my hormones are to blame. Probably eating a little too much too because I was exercising so much. But I've dealt with fatigue, breast tenderness. I had, sore breasts for like ever. Obviously, I've done many things that it doesn't happen anymore. Sleep issues. I have gone months without sleeping. All of these issues. So if you resonate with any of these, I would love to hear from you. And then this is an image that we show our clients because, like I was saying in the beginning, I think we blame our hormones all the time for all the things that are an issue. And of course, the hormones are a pain in the butt. And if you look at this iceberg image that we have here, at the top are a lot of the hormonally driven issues that we deal with. But below the surface, below the water, that's where all of the things that actually influence what is happening with your hormones. So hormones don't just get out of balance for no reason. It's because of stress or a bad diet or blood sugar issues or circadian rhythm issues or gut health or deficiencies, toxicity, chronic inflammation. So all of that stuff below the surface is actually influencing what is happening with your hormones. So a lot of times the hormones are the last thing to change. And a lot of times when you have hormonal imbalance, it's your body screaming at you that something is off and we need to pay attention to it and we need to fix it. But it's not simply just fixing your hormones. So that's why when you hear all these influencers online, hawking all of these like hormone balancing supplements, you're probably not getting the best results because they are not hitting what's below the surface here as far as some of these like foundational functional things that we need to fix. So, the iceberg or the top of the iceberg, sure, that's all the hormones, but the stuff below it is what's influencing the hormones. So the gut hormone connection. So this is a real thing. And I think, again, a lot of times ladies don't realize what's happening in their gut is actually affecting their hormones and how they feel from day to day. And this connection, it's real and it's a deep connection. So these are just some quick examples. So your gut microbiome, it helps regulate estrogen. So the thing with estrogen, you want to use it and then you want to lose it. You want to get it out. So the estrobolome, it's a really fun name, but it's a collection of bacteria, but it basically helps you metabolize and eliminate that extra estrogen. There's actually a marker on our GI map test, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, that can give you information as far as are you actually detoxing this estrogen, because if it recirculates back through your system, that's when you start to have all of those horrible symptoms as far as the heavy periods, the acne, the low energy, the bad moods, the constipation. The constipation 100% can influence that because, again, the estrogen is not getting out if you are backed up. There's also a gut-liver axis. The liver is so important when it comes to estrogen and progesterone. So if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, a lot of caffeine, a lot of processed foods, there's a lot of toxins in your life, the liver can't process that as well. There's also a conversion process with thyroid hormone in the liver. So not talking about the thyroid today either, but all of these things are connected. And if your gut is not working well, your hormones aren't going to work well. So those are just some quick examples. And then the most annoying GI symptoms, like this is so common for this phase of life. I mean, common does not mean normal. I think a lot of ladies are dealing with GI stuff, but it's not normal. And it shouldn't be something that you're dealing with for months and months, if not years. I mean, we have ladies that come to Carrots and Cake that they're like, I've had bloating, gas, GI issues for a decade of my life. Like that is not normal. You shouldn't have to deal with these symptoms every single day. But bloating, we hear that a lot. You wake up in the morning and your stomach's mostly flat, but then by like lunchtime or even dinner, you look like you're 6 months pregnant. It's just like so uncomfortable. Your pants are tight. You're cranky at that point because like you feel so uncomfortable. Constipation, we have ladies say that they're not pooping for like 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Like you really should be pooping every single day. And then back to the estrogen, like this idea of estrogen dominance where there's too much estrogen in comparison to progesterone. Constipation is one of those main drivers. The estrogen is not getting out of your system. And there's a lot of conditions that are associated with too much estrogen. So you want to make sure things are moving. Of course, food sensitivities and intolerances. I hear this all the time from ladies that they keep removing things. I've removed gluten, I've removed dairy, I've removed soy and eggs and nightshades, and like you just keep removing more and more things from your diet, and like that's no way to live. I have been there. I have ulcerative colitis. I have done the most restrictive diets in the world, and I can tell you they didn't work, and they just left me exhausted and miserable. I mean, if you think about removing more and more foods and all of like the nutrients and the macronutrients, like you are just leaving your body so depleted and exhausted. And yeah, I had a ton of nutrient and mineral deficiencies, and that's why I felt so bad. Like certain systems of your body can't work well if you don't have certain minerals and nutrients and vitamins for each of those different systems and hormones to work properly. Nauseous before your period, I've definitely heard that from ladies. Acid reflux, the sluggish digestion, like I was talking about the constipation, and then IBS symptoms that get worse mid-cycle or pre-period. Again, that could be from fluctuating hormones for sure, but like IBS, I think a lot of us get thrown in this bucket, but yeah, things shouldn't be so wonky all the time. And I think, a lot of us have grown accustomed to living with these awful symptoms. I mean, that was me. I had that UC for almost 13 years, and I've just gotten used to living with some of those terrible symptoms, but you don't have to. I mean, obviously it's taken me a very long time to get to this point, but I'm just letting you know, you don't have to live with these symptoms. Like they are not normal, and there are things that you can do. So if I'm speaking to you when it comes to the gut stuff, what things have you tried as far as trying to heal your gut? So real quick, I mean, I already talked about removing gluten and dairy. I hear that all the time from ladies. And a lot of times, I mean, sometimes it helps, but a lot of times like they do that and they don't see much change. There's still something going on in the gut that needs to be fixed. Going paleo, keto, Whole30, all of those super restrictive diets, bone broth, any sort of elimination diets, intermittent fasting, although that could help. It kind of depends on what type of intermittent fasting you're doing. Removing sugar, artificial sweeteners, adding fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. That, yes, can work, but if you have histamine issues, adding that type of stuff, it's going to make things worse. So just giving you a heads up on that. Drinking celery juice, that was definitely like a trend for a while. Using apple cider vinegar before meals, that can absolutely help. So something to think about. Eating more fiber, which I know people know that they need to eat fiber, but if you're really struggling with GI stuff, adding a bunch of fiber, that is not going to help. You actually might feel worse. Like adding a bunch of raw veggies and salads and smoothies, it might make you feel worse. Probiotics, like I mentioned in the beginning, like I think probiotics are one of those things that we think, oh, this is just going to improve my GI issues. But if you don't know what strands you need, it can actually make things worse or do nothing, in the sense that you just wasted, 30, 50 bucks on a probiotic and it didn't do anything because that's not what your gut needed. So obviously with testing, we can look at what your gut needs. So instead of wasting your money or making things worse, we actually have data. Digestive enzymes, that's something that you could take before your meals, can definitely help. L-glutamine, slippery elm, marshmallow root, aloe vera juice, all of those are great supplements, but it's also like, which ones do you actually need? Which ones are actually going to make a difference, instead of just buying them, throwing spaghetti at the wall, and not really knowing if they're going to work or not. I mean, I am the poster child for this. I have wasted so much money on supplements and gut stuff over the years, and like the testing is obviously the most helpful as far as giving you answers. Collagen, magnesium citrate or oxide, I mean, that could definitely be helpful for constipation. All sorts of prebiotics, cutting out caffeine, alcohol, or food sensitivity tests. And I'm specifically calling out like Everlywell or one of those finger prick ones. Sure, it's helpful, but removing foods is not a solution. Like it's a short-term solution. Yeah, it can help you feel better, but why is your body reacting to those foods? Something is going on that's making you react to them. It's, yes, the foods are causing an issue, but simply removing them, there's still probably dysfunction going on in your gut. And you shouldn't be removing foods, food after food after food, because like you were missing out on so many of those nutrients and minerals and whatnot. So anyways, just letting you know all of the mistakes I have made over the years. And, the better way to do it is really to get testing. So this is the GI map. This is a stool test that we do with our clients. So with our one-on-one clients, and we do have an offer for some one-off testing. So stay on to the end if you want to hear those details. But this test looks at what is going on in your gut. So it uses this PCR technology that actually looks at the DNA of these organisms in your gut. So you poop in a hat, as we say, and send it off to the lab. And I know it seems like so awkward to send like a stool sample in the mail, but it gives us a ton of good information as far as like what's going on in your gut. So real quick, we can see what's going on. If there's any sort of pathogens like E. coli or salmonella or something like that, that of course is going to cause diarrhea. A lot of times that stuff is passing through, but sometimes it can stick around for a little bit. So just getting that information to see what's going on. And, of course, we love treating holistically, supplements, food, stress reduction, obviously we take a more holistic approach, but if you have something major going on, you have like giardia or something big as far as like what's going on, you can take this test to your doctor and get a prescription. We are not opposed to working with the conventional system because sometimes the medications are going to get it done way quicker, but a lot of times doctors won't run this test for you. But I can tell you, I have taken so many GI maps to my doctor over the years, and she is very receptive to it. So obviously it's a certain type of doctor, but my whole point is we work with doctors as far as like getting you the best possible results. Because yes, the functional holistic approach can get you amazing results, but sometimes you need a medication. And so that's where we really work together and do it collaboratively because yeah, we are best when we are working together as far as the conventional system and the functional system. This will also give you insight on H. pylori. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this. This was like a hot thing for a while, but basically as we get older, our stomach acid starts to decline, and like breaking down your food in your stomach, like you really want your stomach to be acidic and to break down the food. So when it gets to your small intestine, you're not having all of that bloating and digestion issues and everything. So of course, chewing your food can help with that. But in your stomach, there's something called H. pylori, and that can actually weaken your stomach acid. So it's really good data to have because we want to get rid of that. Because if you have low stomach acid, yeah, your food's not going to be broken down properly. You're going to have that gas. You're going to have that bloating. So that's really good info for us. And then this commensal bacteria over on the right, this is just giving us ideas of what's going on with kind of like the keystone families of bacteria. There's so many bazillions of bacteria in your gut, but these are kind of like the big families of them. But it can give us ideas of like what you're missing or what is overgrown or like where you are as far as your bacteria goes. So like Akkermansia, that is one that was very, very popular. But this person super low, getting more red foods and pomegranate juice and things like that. You could also supplement with it. But like that's, I don't want to say like a simple thing, but that is a solution for getting your gut back into balance because now we have that data. And then on the flip side, if things are really overgrown, that's actually better on this slide. So over here, like a lot of these are like on the high side. Maybe we need to do something to bring back that bacteria to kind of like cut them down and bring them back into balance. And a lot of times when we see a lot of these highs, it's because, or a lot of times when we see all those highs, it'll be more of the gas and the bloating and maybe even like some SIBO or something like that. But again, we're getting data on what the heck is happening in your body. So then you can actually move forward with a plan and actually know what to do instead of just guessing or buying random supplements or removing more and more foods or even doing like cookie cutter gut protocols. I've heard of that too. And then the other markers, so the beta glucuronidase, this one was actually in range, but that's a marker of, is that estrogen actually getting out of your system? And if it is not, there's certain supplements that can help. Adding more soluble fibers to your diet can help. There's things that we can do to move these things in the right direction that are very holistic. Again, we don't dislike medications, but we have a lot of things in our toolbox that can help you feel better. And then there's also markers on here for just overall gut inflammation, gives us insight into leaky gut and if that's something that's going on. Your immune response, if you're somebody that gets sick all the time, you get every cold that your kid gets, this can give us information on what's going on there. And then also if your body is sensitive to gluten or if gluten and those proteins in gluten are actually causing inflammation in your gut. So this test, super duper interesting, gives you so much amazing data. And yeah, it's just a single test, but it gives us so much. And then of course, our practitioners look at your results, interpret your results, give you a whole written report, and then they make recommendations as far as what to do with your diet, your rest, your exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation, which is the Dress for Success protocol that all of the FDN practitioners on my team and myself are trained in. So we give you a very specific protocol as far as like what you need to do to deal with the things that are out of balance on your test. So you are not the first person to be sitting here. We have worked with hundreds, if not thousands of women over the years. You were probably wondering, is this going to work for me? If I invest time, money, and energy, am I going to get results? And as I always say, our clients, they're regular women who just went to go for it. I mean, they're special in the sense that they are wonderful women who decided to work for us, but they got such awesome results with their health is because they decided to commit to this. They took massive action, as we say, and they got the data. They had a data-driven approach instead of just, doing random macro calculators online and Googling things and listening to more podcasts. They actually had the data on their body and they had a plan of attack to move forward. So anyways, just letting you know that this is possible for you. And I just think the longer you wait and the longer you don't do anything, the worse the symptoms are going to get. And, things are just not going to get better on their own. I really do think you need a plan of attack. So again, trying to make this interactive. So this is, if any of these resonate with you, please put it in the chat. But basically, we call this the menopause clarity seeker. So you are somebody that has been struggling with hormonal or gut symptoms for at least 3 to 6 months, if not more. And we talked about those, the wonky periods, the heavy bleeding, the moodiness, the rage, the no libido, fatigue, hair loss, can't get out of bed in the morning, the headaches, the migraines, the acne, the night sweats. If any of those resonate with you and you've been dealing with this for 3 to 6 months or more, you have come to the right place. You visited at least 1 to 2 doctors and left with no answers, no plan to feel better, prescription for the pill or antidepressants, or referral to a specialist. If that resonates with you, this was me, and this is why I do what I do over here at Carrots and Cake, and this is why I became an FDM practitioner, because I just jumped from doctor to doctor. I have told the story where I remember writing a whole list of questions on a piece of paper, bringing it into the doctor's office, basically getting non-answers, no answers, just kind of blown off. I was asking all these questions about nutrition and lifestyle and supplements and I probably had 20 questions, but I left that doctor's appointment and got to my car and just cried because I was like, I didn't get any of my questions answered. I don't feel better about any of this. And I felt hopeless and helpless and just totally lost. And I think I did have a referral for an endocrinologist, but I remember they were super backed up and I wasn't going to get in there for 12 weeks or something. And I was just like, how am I going to go on for another 12 weeks feeling this crappy and just having no solution? So anyways, if I'm speaking to you, you've come to the right place, and we will take care of you. Our staff, our team of practitioners, they are the most caring, kind people, and they have all gone through their own health struggles. And, I'm not crapping on the conventional system. I just think their toolbox is different than our toolbox. And I think there are things that we can do differently as far as a functional approach goes. So again, going back to doctor's appointments, the blood work, everything's normal, but you don't feel your best. I can't tell you how much blood work I have gotten from doctors over the years, and everything was quote unquote normal. And knowing what I know now from the functional standpoint, so many of those markers were out of the functional range. They were in the conventional range, but the conventional range includes everybody who is healthy and not healthy. So the ranges are super duper wide. And yeah, you might not die and you might not be diagnosed with something today, but why not strive for optimal health? Why not let things get worse? I can't even tell you how many ladies with the thyroid markers, so frustrating, where I'm like, you are headed towards Hashimoto's, or you are headed towards prediabetes or diabetes, and the doctor just says everything's fine. And a lot of times you get that wait and see. That's frustrating too. So anyways, I'm gonna get off my soapbox about that. But if your doctor refuses to run blood work, won't test your hormones, they won't do the full thyroid panels, super duper frustrating. And I just feel like you have so many dead ends as far as your health goes, and you don't deserve that. You deserve answers. It's your body, your health. You should be able to get that information. So obviously you can get a new doctor. You can also run stuff through Carrots and Cake. We have the ability to do that. If you thought about functional testing in the past, but maybe it wasn't the right time, or maybe you thought it was too expensive, this could be the opportunity. Because if you are still kind of stuck in the same place, or maybe things have gotten worse, or maybe you have more symptoms now, it's time to stop spinning your wheels and actually do something. And, I am going to present you with something very, very soon as far as helping you get to a better place. If you're somebody that's been just DIYing your approach, you're doing free guides and downloads you see on Instagram, you've done the macro calculators, random diets, supplements, you're just kind of guessing. You have no real data. You're just trying new things because you saw it on Instagram, or somebody at your gym did it, or one of your friends, but you're just wasting time, money, energy. You've worked with another practitioner or coach. I actually talked about this on Instagram yesterday, that we are in this trust recession. And I think it's because of COVID, where everything went online and, people were hiring coaches and all that. And yeah, there are good coaches and bad coaches. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. But I think a lot of people have been burned by coaches in the past. And, coming to Carrots and Cake, we've been doing this a really long time. We really do have the best people on our team and they care a ton. And you are going to get a ton of individualized attention. Obviously, we have the data from your body, but the people on our team, they care a ton. I mean, they're all moms, they're all working and trying to be their healthiest self, and they have gone through their own health struggles. So they know how you feel, or and they have been in your shoes as far as like struggling with their health. And obviously now they're in a much better place thanks to functional testing and a functional approach, but they are literally the best. But I think there's a lot of trust issues out there. And I think if you come to Carrots and Cake, you will be pleasantly surprised about how we go above and beyond and the amazing results that you can get. You can look at the testimonials on our website, on Instagram. We have endless on the podcast, on YouTube. They are everywhere. You're doing what everybody else is doing. You're always looking for the thing to help you lose weight or the thing to heal your hormones. And it's never one thing. It's usually a combination of things. And, when people are always talking about the root cause, yeah, there's like a root cause, but you know what? There's probably a lot of root causes. So anybody that's saying it's like one thing that's going to fix you, it's probably a whole bunch of things. And that's what we do over here. We have a very holistic approach. Like I was saying with that Dress for Success protocol, it's not just the nutrition. It's not just the exercise. It's not just the supplements. It's all of the things working together. And then finally, ignoring your health and nutrition because you don't want to know or don't want to have, or you don't have time, but you suspect that you have hormone, thyroid, blood sugar issues, insulin resistance, or other metabolic issues. Or you're just somebody that puts everyone else's needs first. I hear this all the time from ladies. They're like, I just don't want to know. I don't want to know what's going on with my health because it's scary. It could be a little bit overwhelming. But I think also flipping your mindset to, this is data. Now I know what is going on with my body. Now I have answers. Now I can work towards feeling better and making progress. I love getting test results because I'm like, okay, now we know what's going on. Now I have a plan of attack. So, ignoring this stuff is not the solution because, yeah, it could get worse. It could spiral into a diagnosis or autoimmune disease or something like that. Or you gain 10 more pounds. I mean, I just think it's better to start now and not wait. I think it's really important to get going on your health because this is your health, It gets harder and harder as you get older. So it's like, why not jump on it now? So anyways, I have rambled on for a while now. If any of these resonate with you, please put them in the chat. Again, would just love to get to know you. And then I have a couple quick case studies of clients who have worked with us, who have got great results, who had like a really good attitude about all of this. So Anne, we actually did a case study on her on the podcast, so you can check it out. My podcast is called the Fit and Fueled Life Podcast, so check it out if you haven't heard of it. It's on Apple, Spotify, like all the usual places. But Anne, she was great. She came to us. She was 49 years old. She was already really healthy. I mean, she like knew what she needed to do. She ate healthy. She strength trained. She got her protein and all that. But she just felt strung out and tired all the time. She had headaches every day, night sweats, bad sleep, and she was just moody and anxious. And what she said everything felt hard. And I have been there too. It is miserable. Like you get up in the morning and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do anything that I need to do today. And like, you just feel like you need like a vacation away from everybody. Like I have been there. But anyway, what she wrote here is like, I refused to accept this is how I had to live. So she reached out for help. And this is the thing, like she was a health and nutrition coach. And that's the thing. Even coaches need coaches. Like you need help sometimes, and it's okay to ask for help. And if you don't ask for help, like you're kind of just spinning your wheels. I mean, I personally have a business coach. I have worked with her for 5 years now. And then now I have a functional practitioner that I am working with because yeah, I tried to do all this UC stuff on my own and he has taken me to the next level. I mean, we're doing peptides now. We did mitochondria and DNA testing. Like we have done all sorts of stuff, but that's the thing. Like the testing is so helpful as far as getting you answers and just getting you to the next level. So this is what we saw in Anne's lab. So we also run a mineral test. This can give you information on what your body needs nutritionally. Because yeah, if you are depleted, if your body doesn't have what it needs to work properly, certain systems of your body are just not going to work the best. So on the right where it says significant ratios, these are all ratios that are associated with different systems in your body. So the sodium to potassium ratio is your adrenals, your calcium to potassium ratio is your thyroid, calcium to magnesium is your blood sugar. So it gives you insights into these different systems of your body. So it's not diagnosis, like we're not diagnosing you with a thyroid problem or a blood sugar problem, but it's giving us clues that, hey, this is probably what's going on. And nutritionally, your body probably needs more potassium or more sodium or more calcium or less of these. Probably not less. You probably almost always need more. They might be in the normal range or they're low or high. So anyways, we don't have to get into all the details of this, but this was really helpful for Anne because yeah, she was feeling really fatigued and strung out and burned out. And yeah, her labs reflected this. And of course, nutritionally, we had things that we could do. So for Anne, it was like, you need more calcium rich foods. You definitely need more magnesium. You need more potassium. So for her, like she had a game plan right off the bat as far as what to eat. And then this was her GI map, so that stool test. And she had low overall commensal bacteria. So the Bacteroides and Firmicutes, these are all low. So this is just giving us an idea that there's not a lot of variety in her gut. So for her, she probably needs more variety in her diet, more colorful fruits and veggies, more fibers, different types of fibers. I think everyone always thinks, fruits and veggies, but there's also soluble fibers as far as like beans and lentils and oats and that type of stuff. So for her, it was getting more of a variety of those foods. And then, yeah, she had that low akkermansia. So, we could always give her a supplement, but I think we did probably recommend more red foods and pomegranate juice and pomegranate and things like that. So anyways, it just gives us an idea of what's going on so we can give her an actual game plan. And then, yeah, on her test, this anti-gliadin IgA, this is a protein in gluten. So hers was, off the charts. I mean, she was way above the range there. So it gave us good information that yes, gluten is inflaming your gut. And she was actually really struggling with headaches. And once she removed the gluten, the headaches went away. So that was really interesting. And she said even like the moodiness went away. And it's funny because one of the coaches on my team said the exact same thing. As soon as she removed gluten, no more headaches, no more bad moods. And I even see that if I have too much gluten, like during the day, by the evening, I will definitely have a headache before I go to bed. So it's just interesting how these things are connected. So anyways, we just got that good data for Anne. And then, yeah, she removed gluten and those headaches went away. And then this was her Dutch. So we also run a hormone test and cortisol test. So again, gives us information about what's going on with her hormones. And what was most significant here was her daily free cortisol pattern. So the black is actually the reference range and hers is the red. So she basically is flatlined when it comes to cortisol. And again, it's just giving us information and validating how she's feeling that, yeah, this is why you were tired, Anne. Like your cortisol is like tanked. Like this is why you were tired. And this is actually a thyroid ratio too, where the cortisol, like the metabolized cortisol is on the low end. So again, giving us some more data as far as what could potentially going on with her thyroid. Again, over here, her thyroid ratio is elevated too. So again, we're just getting a lot of clues as far as what's going on. I mean, obviously she would need a full thyroid panel to really confirm that. But, just knowing this can give us some clues as far as where to go next. And then, after working with us for 6 months, no more hot flashes. She had better energy, improved strength, improved periods. She lost 9 pounds, eating more calories. I love that as far as like increasing her food. She was calmer and happier, and the headaches went away, which was a big one. This is Sue. She is another client. She had a lot more GI issues, so that's why I wanted to highlight her and just how helpful that GI map could be. But she was bloated all the time. She was getting sick all the time, and she was struggling to lose weight. She also had Hashimoto's. She wanted help as far as managing those symptoms. And of course, a lot of this is connected, but she had the abdominal pain, bloating, gas, constipation. And yeah, she just needed data because she was trying all the things and nothing was working. So on her test, we saw a lot of those like quote unquote bad bacterial overgrowth, but that can 100% contribute to the gas, the bloating, the fatigue, nutrient deficiencies, and even her Hashimoto's, since, part of the thyroid conversion that happens is in the gut. Some of it is in the liver as well, but some of that happens in the gut. So if your gut is not working well, your thyroid is not going to work well. She also had that Hashimoto's that I talked about before, which can cause acid reflux, bloating. Again, you're not able to break down your food as well as you could. So when it gets to the small intestine, that's why you have all the gas and bloating. She actually had a parasite, which again can lead to gut symptoms, inflammation, Hashimoto's, inability to lose weight. She had low Sig-A, which is a marker of immune function. So that's why she was getting sick all the time. And her gut was just super duper inflamed. So of course she was going to be having so many GI issues. But we got all of this data from this one lab. So it was really, really helpful for her to be like, okay, this is why my gut does not feel great. This is why I'm having all these symptoms. And then on her, this is from the Dutch test looking at her hormones, but she had that classic estrogen dominance that is really common at this phase of life, but she had really high estrogen, really low progesterone. But like I was saying, if you are constipated, if you have those thyroid issues that are slowing down digestion, that estrogen is not going to get out and it's going to recirculate, and then you're going to have, irritability, mood swings, breast tenderness, PMS, weight gain, low libido, all of that. So again, this is just giving us more information that her gut and her liver probably need a little bit of help as far as making sure we're getting that estrogen out. And then finally, after working with us, she was having regular bowel movements. She wasn't getting sick anymore, and she had much more stable energy. So yeah, so much can change if you have the data and if you have a plan of attack, and of course, a coach that really cares. Okay, so I've talked a lot, so I just want to do a quick check-in. So again, put this in the chat, trying to keep it interactive, that I'm not just talking at you the whole time. But do you believe with the right data and a clear process to follow, it would be easier or harder to improve your gut health and hormones, sustainably lose weight, and change your health long-term? Hopefully your answer is going to be easier. Again, I've been emphasizing how helpful having data is. So now I'm going to talk about Metabolism Accelerator. This is our one-on-one coaching program with the functional testing. And this is the program that it's 6 months long. You work with one of the coaches or / practitioners on my team one-on-one, and we run 3 functional tests on you. So we do the GI map, which is a stool test, the mineral test, which is a hair test. You cut a piece of your hair, send it off to the lab, and then the Dutch, which is a hormone and cortisol test. So we do those 3 tests at the beginning. We get the data, we correlate the data with your symptoms and your goal, interpret it. You get a lovely report. It's color-coded, bullet-pointed. It's lovely. And then, of course, your practitioner goes over the results and gives you a plan of attack. So this is going to get you the best possible results because we have all of that data. And then you work with one of the coaches on our team to implement what is on your protocol, because anybody can run testing. I mean, it's easy to get a test. You could go to Dutch and order it. You could go to any of these sites and get a test. But of course, you need to interpret it, and then you actually need to do the things. And yeah, sometimes it is hard to change as far as removing gluten or managing your stress or going to bed at a normal time or, meal prepping and eating more protein. So having a coach is really, really helpful as far as making sure you're doing the things and you're staying accountable to yourself and your plan. And then of course, walking you through any challenges or roadblocks that you experience. But, just a stat from our clients, 97% of our clients finish the program and reduce their symptoms by 50% or more, which is incredible. We actually use a tool called the symptom scorecard. So you fill that out at the beginning of the program. It tallies up your metabolic dysfunction, as we call it, all of the things that might be off in your system. And then at the end of the program, you take that same survey again, and then you get your new score. And I mean, people just crush it. They feel so much better. So yeah, included enrollment, the 3 functional tests, all included, the interpretation, the personalized protocol, supplement recommendations, which we like supplements, but we're not sending you home with like 20 different ones. Like, it's pretty minimal. We definitely lean more into the food and lifestyle part of it. There is a live intake session where we get to know you. We go over your medical history, what your goals are, what your symptoms are. And then once we get all your tests back, you have a review session with your practitioner. That's where they explain what's going on with your tests. This means this means that. And this is your protocol. This is what we are going to do together. And they give you recommendations for your nutrition, your rest, your exercise, your stress reduction, and supplementation. And then you have 5 months of one-on-one coaching, accountability, support. That's where you get that personalized guidance. If you want to do the macros, if you want recipes, meal plans, trainings, any of that, we have everything. We've been in business for 17 years, so we have everything you would ever need. The program also comes with a 6-month strength training program because strength training is non-negotiable. You just have to do it. And if you want to see actual body composition changes, you need to do it. So we do give you a program with that. And then we have a bunch of educational resources depending on how much you want to learn about all of this. But we have a perimenopause crash course, a reverse dieting course called Faster Metabolism, cycle syncing masterclass, a thyroid masterclass, and like I said, endless recipes, nutrition resources, sample meal plans, all of that. So this program, I mean, all of this, if you add it up, it's well over $8,000 as far as the value goes. But we are offering it for just 5,300. I mean, that's our normal price. But because you are on this call or watching the recording back, we do have a fast action bonus that we have been doing for ladies. And basically, if you enroll within the next 72 hours, so the next 3 days, you get $500 off when you pay in full. So definitely makes it a bit more affordable. We also have monthly payment options, so they're anywhere from $8.99 down to $5.99. So it really depends like what works best for you, and we want to make this doable for you because we understand the value of this as far as getting the testing and working with a coach and just making it happen. And then I included this little quote from one of our clients, but she said the only regret was not doing the testing. She was somebody that was in the carrots and cake world for a really long time. And she finally decided to do the testing. I think she was a little nervous about like the investment and all that, but she said it was just so helpful. She really looked good, felt good. And yeah, I still follow her on Instagram and she is just crushing life and she looks great and she's happy and all of that. But exactly like she said, she was just guessing at what was going on, guessing at her problems. And then, yeah, if you are more interested in the GI map, we don't usually offer one-off testing, but I know a lot of ladies struggle with GI issues. So we are offering a single one-off test for the GI map only. And we get it, like the main program, it is an investment. So if you're somebody that's like, let's just do the GI map, this could be an option for you. But I would say if you have like a lot of hormone stuff, you have a lot going on. The full one-on-one program is probably your best option. But if you're somebody that's like, yeah, I really need to know what's going on with my gut, we are offering it for $797. It includes the test, the interpretation, and then a review session with one of your practitioner or one of our practitioners to go over the test and then go over the recommendations and the protocol and all of that. So could be a good option for you too. All right, guys, I talked at you for a really long time. All right. Oh, Jennifer stayed on. So, any questions? Oh, good. Good. Technology is not my my thing. Oh, thank you, Jennifer, for just staying on. All right, guys. Any questions? I see a few comments, but I don't see any questions. All right, ladies, we'll wrap it up. I'll leave all the details just in the comments when I publish this, and then we will be sending out an email with this recording. If you are on our email list and have expressed interest in one-on-one coaching or testing, you'll get the recording and these offers. Oh, Jennifer, yeah, she wrote, what if my doctor says my labs are normal? Yeah, I mean, we get that a lot, and I think that's for a few reasons. I think one, just the conventional ranges are a lot wider than the functional ranges. And I think at the end of the day, most of us are aiming for optimal health, not the like okay health, I'm not gonna die health, or like I'm not gonna be diagnosed with, diabetes or an autoimmune disease or something. And then also, I just think doctors, they don't have the time. I mean, I have a doctor friend and she was saying that she gets 15 minutes for her appointments. And that's just not enough time to have a conversation with somebody about their health, especially if they're really struggling. So obviously what we do, we spend a lot of time with you. We are talking to you every single week. And actually outside of your weekly check-in, you have 24/7 access to us. So like, you can message us whenever you want, and our coaches are getting back to you pretty quickly. I mean, usually the same day. I mean, if not within 24 hours. So, like, we really want to get to know you, and the more we get to know you, the better results you're going to have. I mean, the personalization is like the most important part. Oh, Crystal asked, would the gut test work with the HTMA? Yes. For sure. And that's why we do the 3 tests in our one-on-one program, because we can correlate them together. So the gut test, it's giving us information, what is going on with your body nutritionally. And if certain things are depleted, of course, we can lead it back to the gut. Because if you're having gut symptoms, you could eat the most perfect diet in the world, but if those foods aren't being digested and absorbed properly, you still could be depleted or dealing with a lot of those GI issues. And yeah, it could 100% be reflected with your HTMA. So yeah, if you are somebody that's running HTMA with us, if you decide to do the GI map with us, we will correlate those results together, because that's the best best way to do this. And that's why we don't normally do one-off testing. Of course, the HTMA is the exception because it's the best test. And like you have to eat, as I always say, like why not feed your body what it needs? But we love correlating the tests together because it's going to give you so much info. And a lot of times running a test, I just feel like you're left with a lot of answers or a lot of questions, especially running like the Dutch by itself. We used to do that back in the day, and it would leave us with so many questions like, why are your hormones out of whack? Why are you not detoxing estrogen? So running more tests obviously is going to give you more data, but yeah, we could definitely correlate your HTMA results with your GI map. I think it would give you a ton of good information for sure. Mm. Jennifer's throwing all the FAQs in the chat. So she wrote, what if I have to travel for work or if I'm going on vacation? Yeah, we get that too. As far as like traveling or vacations and things like that, that is not a problem. And that is something I think we actually excel at in the sense that if you think about when you get the most off track or when life is out of control, it's probably when you're traveling for work or on vacation or life is just super busy. So working with a coach, we give you strategies. So when you are on vacation or when you're away from home, you know what to do. Because yeah, at home, if you had plenty of time, super easy to eat healthy, right? You could meal prep, you could make all these perfect meals, make recipes and all that. But when life gets busy, that's when shit hits the fan. So if you're somebody who travels a ton for work, you need to figure that out. You can't just keep winging it when you travel and keep getting off track or, drinking tons of alcohol or tons of like high caloric like restaurant food. Not that any of that is bad, but if that's something that you do frequently, you need to figure out the strategies for that. So that's why working with a coach can be really, really helpful. And of course, the data piece of it, as far as like the testing, can be so, so helpful. So I always say that to ladies. I'm like, if you travel or you're super busy or you're on vacation, I feel like that is the best time to work with a coach because then you figure it out. Because otherwise, like you're just winging it. And it's so easy to be perfect and on track when you're at home in your own kitchen and you have plenty of time. All right, guys. Well, this was fun. Thank you guys for joining. I will put all the details, like I said, in the comments, and I will send you send those of you who are on our email list who have expressed interest in coaching, I'll send you guys an email. And yeah, if anything pops up, any additional questions, anything like that, just throw them in the group and we'll make sure we get to them. All right, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.